Namaste. Welcome. I'm Yogi Ahimsa, and today we're going to start a small series of short videos going through the Yamas and the Niyamas. Essentially, these are from the 8 limbs of yoga from the yoga system of Patanjali. Okay. Yama, which is moral conduct, is fulfilled by 5 different categories, if you will. Today we're going to be talking about Ahimsa, which means non-harm or non-violence, okay, non-injury to others or yourself. Essentially, Ahimsa is made up of the particular of and that's meaning not. So himsa would mean violence, where ahimsa would mean non-violence or non-harm. Now, it's more than a negative command not to kill, for it has more of a wider, positive meaning, which is love. Of course, I always invite us in all of our classes to practice yoga with steadiness and ease, love and compassion. We are all, not to get on too much of a religious or a spiritual filibuster, essentially we are all, the yogi believes that we are all creations of the Creator. And not just us as human beings, but all living things in the entire universe. Now, to commit himsa, which is harm or violence or things to that nature, to any of these creations is in fact an insult to the Creator. So how do we apply this to the mat? Well, of course, we don't want to harm anybody in class by being too close to them and bumping into them as we're coming into an asana or anything like that, but essentially we really want to focus on not causing harm to ourselves. So that's why safety is of the utmost importance in any strong foundation for your yoga asana practice. We're going to talk about the other of these 5 points of the yamas. Again, the moral conduct. It's basically, rules of life. The Eightfold Path of Yoga leads to, a final goal of absoluteness. And we'll go into that more in future. But it's basically in which the yogi realizes the truth beyond all intellectual apprehension. So how do we practice non-violence or non-harm or symbolize that into our actual asana practice, which asana is actually the 3rd limb of yoga in the Eightfold Path, which is more commonly recognized as the physical aspect of yoga. However, a couple of things that we can do in our practice to awaken the ahimsa within us is to always, again, coming back to finding ourselves moving with steadiness and ease and love and compassion. And one thing that I really want to stress is being mindful of our edge of comfort. Okay? We don't want to cause harm to ourselves by going beyond the edge of comfort, as yoga is not a competition with anyone but ourselves. So what is the edge of comfort? Well, just imagine that you're in any asana, and that if you feel like if I was to go a little bit further, I could probably do it, but it might hurt a little bit, or as I'm getting into something, I start feeling it, ooh. Right there is your edge of comfort. You want to back off a little bit from that. And just stay just a hair away from that edge of comfort, but not confusing it with, energetic burn, if you will. Okay, so let's practice that at the start of our class, being Ahimsa is the start of the Yamas, which is the first of the 8 limbs. So in a class, you'll see any of my classes that we do always a small warm-up before we really even get into our sun salutations. So what I'd like to invite us to do is to sutra or thread our way into Palakasana. Okay? So to do that, and I'm going to be in the mirror from us. So if you're following along on your big screen TV with your YouTube app, so you can follow along with this and on your mat, what we'll do is we'll extend out our left hand, make a stop sign with your left hand, and just place it on the mat gently to the side of your body, and then raise up the right hand. Okay? What we'll do is we'll thread our right leg around the center of the body, around to the side, place both hands firmly on the mat, practicing our Hasta Bandha, rooting down through the hands and pressing through, and then threading our left knee back in either to tabletop, or for this exercise we'll go into Palakasana. Okay, so we don't want to do any harm to ourselves, so we're mindful of our wrists, our Hasta Bandha, our hands rooted down into the earth, and the energy spreading equally through our fingers. Okay, and of course our arms are stacked under our shoulder and our back is straight, just like a plank. Gently pressing through the hands and coming back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, we'll begin warming up the body, feeling that energy, and not just rushing into things cold. And then stepping forward with our right and then our left leg into what I call the valley, or Ardha Uttanasana. Being mindful and safe with our knees. So again, we're not practicing on harming ourselves by extending too far, so we can bend the knees a little bit if our bodies are still a little cold and tightness in our legs. Breathing in, breath is important. And then breathing out into Uttanasana, or the river as I commonly call it. And then we'll begin a slow, forgiving rise. We can bring our arms out to the side and gently start stacking the spine. Our chin is to our chest. And we're slowly stacking the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Nice and safe. Steadiness and ease. And then gently rolling the shoulders back and bringing the head up to a neutral position into Tadasana, or mountain pose. Okay. Going through our checklist, starting from the ground up, the Pada Bandha, the feet rooted into the earth. Hips are facing forward. Legs are straight, but knees are not hyperextending or extremely locked. There can be a slight bend in the knees, just a little subtleness. Our shoulders are even and square, and our drishti, or our focus, is at the horizon. So we're not arching or bending our neck in any weird positions that could cause harm or injury to ourselves. Breathing in and coming into heart center, Samasthiti, or as I commonly refer to it as Namaste Mountain. Here, before we begin our class of, starting Surya Namaskara and going into our sequence, what I always invite the students to do at the beginning of class is set our intentions for the day or for the practice, as well as sending positive energy or loving, compassion, things like that, to anyone in the entire universe. I, of course, will dedicate this practice to you. At this time, I'll invite you to take a moment for your own personal dedications, sending off that loving energy to anyone or anything from in your own home or anywhere in the entire planet or universe. Steadiness and breath. And then sending off that positive energy. And then affirming our intentions with a bow. Then gently rising back up into Samasthiti. Before we begin our practice, I'll of course invite you to move with steadiness and ease, love and compassion, and being mindful of that edge of comfort. And this is how I would practice Ahimsa right from the start of the class and keeping it in our four thoughts throughout the duration of our practice. I hope you have found this video useful for you. I wish you all well, and namaste.